of the different sectors. We're looking at the importance of the economic sector. We're now looking at the tertiary sector, and we're looking at the quaternary sector. We're looking at the tertiary sector and the quaternary sector. So whatever you said in the primary and in the secondary sector, it is also still applicable in tertiary sector. We can also add here tertiary sector. For you to be able to move from one shop to another, you need a road, so it will also lead to infrastructure development. For these products also to be sold to another country, it is going to bring about foreign earnings. So whatever you have seen here, whatever you have seen in primary sector and secondary sector, it is also highly applicable. It is also highly applicable in tertiary and quaternary sector, except you cannot say in quaternary sector there is supply of raw material. There is supply. You cannot use those things. But all other key factors, we said these are the key factors: job creation, foreign earning, infrastructure development, improvement of technology on both sides, on all of them. So it is applicable in all of them. So this is the skill that you need to apply when you study. When you study, you need to use a simple skill of looking at what facts are linking to each other, so that you are able to make your study shorter. You don't need to be studying very long time, because you also need to relax yourself. So you need to find the way of simplifying your study. So we're looking at quaternary sector here, and the activities there, actually not the activities, the importance are similar to the one that you had, except here the tertiary, the quaternary sector. The quaternary sector, what it does is it solves the problems for other sectors, but with regard to all other importances, they are the same. They are similar. This one can give the same. Okay, now, very important, you must be able to define the concepts, or you must be able to recognize the concepts. If you see a concept that says define, or you see a multiple choice question that says gross domestic product, then you must know that gross domestic product refers to the total value of goods and services produced within the borders of the country in a year. So if you see this definition, and it's a multiple choice question and you have other options to choose for, you must know that GDP, the word domestic means within a country. Domestic means within a country, local. So it is the total value of goods and services produced within the country. So because it says domestic there, the word domestic, it shows you that it is happening locally. And then we have another one that says gross national product, GNP. Gross national product, what is this? This is the total value of goods and services produced by the permanent citizens of a country in 1 year. So permanent citizens of the country in 1 year. What you should know that is that permanent citizens of a country are not always found within that particular country. Some of the permanent citizens of a country might be working outside that particular country, but they are the nationals, or they are the permanent citizens of a particular country. So because they are not working within the country, they cannot produce domestic product, but they are going to produce the national product, because they are nationals of a particular country. So all South Africans contribute, all South Africans, no matter where they are working from, no matter where they are working from, so long as they are permanent citizens of South Africa, they contribute to the gross national product of South Africa, no matter where they're working from. But they cannot, those who are not working inside South Africa cannot contribute to the gross domestic because they are not found locally. They are found outside the borders of South Africa. Now let's continue with our contribution of the economic sectors to the South African economy. Remember, now we're looking at this contribution. This graph would have been made some time ago, and then this contribution will vary from one diagram to another. So this is not what you're going to cram and say agriculture contributes 3% and then finances contribute 20%. No, they contributed 20% during this time when this data was collected for a particular quarter of the economy. For a particular quarter of the economy, this was the findings. This was what the economists looked at, and this is what they got. So this will change from time to time, this contribution, because there could be an improvement in agriculture, and that improvement in agriculture might interest other countries to buy more products from South Africa, and this could increase. 3% could increase, and then the rand value could go down, or the rand value could go higher. It could go higher, and this can change to maybe 25% or 30%, or it could go lower and the rand value could contribute to 15%. So this is just a table that was made at a particular time. And you know, the relationships between the countries, can improve or it can get worse. So if the relationship between countries get worse, then there is going to be less trade, and therefore the 15% could drop to 10% or lesser. And also the relationship between countries could improve, and whatever is happening in the world also is going to influence how trade takes place. If there are higher tariffs, you'll find that people are not trading a lot because there is too much tax for people to buy, and there is no value for the product. So this will be correct at a particular time, but it is going to change from time to time. And then even the government, here you see government produced 18%. So it depends on the efficiency of the government at a particular time. The government could produce more, the government could produce less. So this graphs and tables are going to change from time to time, and they are going to show different projections from time to time as conditions change. Okay, now we have this other graph here. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at different countries. We're looking at South Africa, Brazil, Cameroon, Japan, and USA. And we're looking at the sectors of economy where these countries are involved in. Now, let's now compare. Let's compare now USA to South Africa. You can see now USA produces, or it is involved more in tertiary sector than in primary sector. It is involved more in tertiary sector than in primary sector. And you can also see that it is involved again more in secondary sector than in primary sector. So the contribution for USA in both tertiary and secondary sector is higher than all other countries except for Japan, where it is the same in terms of secondary sector. Now, because of these factors, the economy of USA will automatically be higher than the economy of Brazil and Cameroon, Why? Because Cameroon and Brazil have got a higher percentage of activities in primary sector. And in primary sector, there is more raw material. That is the wool that we're talking about in our previous slide. They produce more wool than they would produce clothes. And then also in Cameroon, it will be the same. They will produce more raw material than they will produce finished products. But when you're looking at what they are producing in Cameroon, when you're looking at the contribution in their tertiary sector, you can see there's only 7% there. There's only 7%. So it means it's going to affect the value of the products that they are selling. And because of that, it's going to affect highly the economic development of a country. So it is safer for a country to be involved in secondary and tertiary activities for it to grow its economy, because the tertiary and secondary sector fetches more money, they fetch more income, there is more income. So when you're looking at the balance of trade, which is the total value of export minus the total value of import, so we call it balance of trade. So when you're looking at the balance of trade now, the value of export for USA will be higher than the value of export for Brazil and Cameroon. Why? Because USA is exporting more finished goods, and more finished goods have got higher value and they bring more money. But with Cameroon, they sell more raw material, and raw material is cheaper than finished goods, and therefore it's going to give lesser income for the country. Okay, so this is how you analyze, and that is how you interpret the economy of different countries according to the sectors of economy that the country is specializing in. Now we continue with differences between a GNP and GDP. Here we have made an example with the USA. Now what you're looking at here, so GDP, everything is produced within the United States here. And then when you're looking at here, this is the GNP. You can see the GNP. Other people which are Americans are working at this point. Some of them working here, working there, working in all these places, So all the value that these people are producing, or these companies are USA companies, but they are not found within the United States. So these people contribute to the GNP. These ones, they contribute to the GNP. They contribute to the GNP of the country while they are working outside the country. So that is how we determine the GNP. But here it is only what is produced within a country. Now we're looking at provincial GDP of the countries, and this was the graph. This was the map that was used in 2019 to look at the contribution of different provinces. So how each province contributed to the economy of South Africa at a particular time. So this is the graphs. This is the data that you should be able to use when you are asked the question in your examination. You have to be able to analyze, interpret, and respond to the question based on the graphs, on the tables, and on the maps. The key sectors that contribute to the GDP are manufacturing, wholesale and retail trade, financial services, transport, mining, agriculture, and tourism. Now, traditionally, when you're looking at the economy of countries, traditionally the economy of the economy was based in primary sector. This is during the olden days where the country's wealth of minerals and favorable agriculture will determine whether the country is poor or is rich. But this is where there was what we call bartering of in trade. There was this process of bartering where one country gave the other country raw material, and the other one was going to give the other one. That was long before the issue of money was in question. So this is how traditionally the economy of different areas was measured. Then in the early 90s, what happened? The economy was driven by a tertiary sector, whereby the countries were now starting to sell products to other countries, and the focus was on wholesale, tourism, and communications. But now we are at another level today, the knowledge-based economy. So it is about the intelligence of people in different countries that is going to help develop the economies of different countries. Knowledge-based economy, which is with a greater focus on technology, financial services. So this is what is happening now in countries. So everybody must equip themselves with high knowledge, and they must also make sure that each country generate as much income, and much income will only be generated if the country, or it will be generated mostly, not only, it will be generated mostly if the country is selling its finished products more than its raw material. That country is more likely to develop. Then we're looking at the economic challenges of South Africa. What are the factors that make the economy of South Africa to experience some challenges? Sometimes we're looking at the growth, and we're looking at, we said, the value of dollar against rands. So you hear all those reports about the growth of the economy in South Africa. So what influences the growth of the economy in South Africa? Number one, it is influenced by poverty. So remember now, with poverty, when people are poor, meaning that people are not working, people will not be able to contribute to the tax revenue of the country. And therefore, when people are living in poverty, they are unable to contribute to the economy of the country. Instead of contributing to the economy of the country, the people will now need to be getting some assistance from the country. But if most people in the country are employed or are working, they will be able to contribute directly into the growth of the economy through what we call tax revenue. And then also diseases will also affect the economy of South Africa. There are different diseases. We can look at HIV and AIDS. We can also look at the pandemic. Remember when we were looking at COVID-19 in 2020, some companies closed down because they were unable to produce. So because they were unable to produce, so it means those companies could not contribute. Those countries could not contribute to the tax revenue of the country. So different diseases, we can also talk about foot and mouth diseases for livestock. When the animals are sick and the countries say, no, we cannot export products from you, we cannot import products from you, we can think of any other livestock and crop diseases that also affect the trade between countries. So people say, no, we cannot buy your products. So that's going to affect the economy of South Africa, because people say, we're not buying your red meat because your livestock has got challenges, or birds flu, we're not buying your chicken because your birds have got. So the diseases in general, a number of diseases that you can think of will also contribute to the decline in the economic development of South Africa or any other country. And lack of skills, lack of efficiency. So People might not be able to do certain jobs that could produce certain products within certain time, and then the longer you make it takes you to produce other products, other countries are able to produce that within a shorter space of time and sell the products. Therefore, with the lack of skills, which means now it is very important for learners sitting in class, it is very important to make sure that you attend all your classes, you will learn as much as you can, you will gain knowledge, you gain skills, so that you can also contribute to the growth of the economy of South Africa. Also, unemployment is also related to poverty. Because of unemployment, there is no contribution to the SARS or to the tax revenue of a country. Also, crime will mean that there's a number of crimes. People could be destroying the infrastructure of the country, and because of the destroyed infrastructure in number of ways, the country will have to rebuild the infrastructure. So if the country rebuild the infrastructure now, there's more money that's going to be spent. There's more money that's going to be spent in fixing all the challenge, all the problems. So that is going to bring about the economic challenge. So because of, instead of improving and working on other things, now the country has got to focus on fixing and spending more money. Energy crisis. So for example, if we have electricity outage or if we have load shedding, some companies cannot afford to buy diesel or generators to create for productivity, or they can do that, but it is more expensive for them. That is why they end up shutting down. And because of energy crisis, now we find that the economy of a country or economy of South Africa is going to decline significantly. And then as we continue, we look at we are going to be using an interpreting of statistical graphic information. So I will stop at this point, and you will continue with Mem Zondi when you are also looking at how are you expected to interpret the graphs and tables in order to get your answers. I'll give you a few minutes break, and you'll continue with Mem Zondi after 2 minutes.